go ahead and throw it on the front page as well. So please, if you guys want to, please go ahead and write your own blog post, and we'll help you promote it. You'll have your own URL to show your friends and family and everything. So please go check it out at appstatecentral.com, and let's get as much content as we can about App State. It can never hurt to spread the word about the Mountaineers. So, and off of that tangent now, as we all know, it's game week. This is Saturday will be the best day of the year. I've been waiting for a long time for this, and there's only about 3.5 days left until we get our first glimpse at the team. And as we have said all off season, this team is extremely young, but they've got a lot of talent as well. And then you couple that with a few new coaches that seem to have the same passion that we just heard from Coach Stepp, and this could be a very exciting team for years to come.
Definitely, definitely, and obviously, as we all know, the first opponent on the docket's East Carolina, and most App fans will recall 2009 when we had a pretty spirited fourth quarter comeback. We were down big, and Travaris Cadet, who obviously now is in the NFL as a running back with the Saints, who was at the time our third string quarterback, came in and brought us back, and we came up just short. As we heard the intro with Coco Hillary, just not quite been able to get up high enough to grab that pass on fourth down and have potential game-winning drive stall out around midfield. Looking to East Carolina, all that they do play at the FBS level and Conference USA, they're not going to be overlooking us. Their head coach Ruffin McNeil was on Coach Moore's staff for 7 years, and John Wiley, the defensive coordinator, he spent, I believe, 17 years on staff here in Boone, and he was defensive coordinator for, I believe, the last 8 or 9. So both of those guys have deep connections to Appalachian, and they're going to have their team focused on us. They're not going to be looking ahead to South Carolina, and I expect to see a good effort from them. And this past Sunday, we had the pleasure of speaking with Stephen Igo, who covers East Carolina for hoistthecolors.net. They are the 247sports.com affiliate for East Carolina. He's a great resource for ECU football, and he spoke to us about how the Pirates have looked throughout camp and what he's expecting to see from them this weekend. So here is our interview with Stephen. All right, Stephen, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking some time out to talk to us. If you could just start, giving the listeners a little information about yourself and your affiliation with East Carolina.
Yeah, my name's Steven Aga. I run the East Carolina website for 247sports.com. I started doing that a couple of months ago. Before that, the Hoist the Colors, which is the name of my site, we were independent, and then we just recently signed on with 247 Sports. So we've been doing this about 2-3 years now as media members, and now we're starting to take the next step of covering the team more in depth. So that's pretty much about it on my end, and look forward to talking with you guys today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we've heard all offseason that there's been a quarterback battle for the Pirates. And who do you think has the best chance of starting next week, and what do each of the candidates bring to the table for the Pirates?
Well, that's the money question around these parts. The quarterback race has been narrowed down to 2 guys, Rio Johnson, who's a junior, and then Shane Carden, who's a sophomore. Both of them have their strong points, and then they both have something they need to work on. I think Rio Johnson, he's more of a pocket passer. He's got the best arm on the team, according to offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley. He's good in the pocket. He stands tall, and he makes good throws. Then they got Shane Carden, who's more of a mobile passer, but he can make something out of nothing. He can create plays when nothing's there. Doesn't have the best arm, but he's more of a playmaker. So as far as who has the best chance of starting at this point, it's really anybody's guess. Earlier this offseason, I was leaning towards Carden because he was recruited for this offense. Johnson was recruited under Skip Holtz, who was the old coach, for a different offense. So, but at the same time, Johnson has made strides in the past few scrimmages and has put up the best numbers. So if I had to guess right now, I would say Rio Johnson will probably start, but it really could go either way. And I think there's a possibility we may see both of them on game day.
Okay, and does Johnson, is he not mobile at all, or is he just not as mobile?
No, he's mobile. He's just not, he prefers to stand in the pocket and throw, but he can get on the move and run if necessary, if there's pressure. He's not he doesn't have great speed, but he does have good footwork, so he's got that going for him. But he's definitely more of a pocket passer, and he really has a great arm. He can really sling it.
Great.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for the info. And another, I guess another kind of unit there within the East Carolina team that I've heard a little bit about is the rotation at defensive tackle. I've heard some reports that between injuries and maybe some off-field stuff like that, it might have kind of had an effect on the depth there. And with the Appalachian team, one of the biggest questions is the kind of inexperience on our interior offensive line. So that matchup could be pretty important. Just what can you tell us about the defensive tackle rotation and how you guys are feeling about that going into the game?
Yeah, unfortunately for the Pirates, one of their backup nose tackles, who's really a rising star, was in some off the field trouble. His name's Terry Williams. He's 6'1", 300+ pounds, and he was in some off-the-field trouble this offseason and is suspended indefinitely. Now, he just returned to the team this week, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be available for the App game. And Coach Ruffin McNeil said that he still has some things to do to get back in good graces with the team and return. So he's not going to be available this coming weekend for the season opener. Mikael Brooks is the number one starter at defense, at nose tackle. He's an all-conference performer. He's really an NFL talent, 6'3", 280 pounds. He started the past couple of years, but he's had some injury problems, and he went down with a concussion a few days ago, but he was back practicing yesterday when I was out there, so I think he'll be fine for the season opener as long as there's no setbacks. He's really the leader of the defensive line as a whole. He's a senior, and he's been on the team since he was a true freshman. He started when ECU put 4 defensive linemen in the NFL in the same year. He was the first backup to that line, so he's always had the talent. It's just a matter of him staying healthy, and he appears to be healthy going into the first game. Now, the big question is behind him, with Williams out, there's a freshman named Terrell Stanley who's talented. He had offers from Arkansas and a few other BCS schools coming out of high school. But again, it'll be his first game, so you're not sure how effective he will be. They have a defensive end by the name of Lee Pegues, who's 290 pounds, that they're thinking about slotting him in as a part-time nose tackle. So as long as Brooks is healthy, that position's fine, but the depth there is definitely a concern.
And do you guys run more 4-3 type of sets now, or are you pretty much set on the 3-4?
It's a 3-4 base defense. The defense will sometimes come out in 4 down linemen, but when they do that, they'll bring in, their pass rush and outside linebackers and put them with their hand in the dirt and just let them speed rush the edge. Mainly, they go with the 3-4.
Yeah, very, very similar to what we do. We have primarily a 3-4, a 3-3-5 base, but we will kind of bring the fourth kind every once in a while too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've also heard that the wide receiving core for the Pirates is a strength. And we've got a lot of talent in our defensive back, but we're young. We've got a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism, and our top corner is a preseason All-American at the FCS level in Demetrius McCray. What do you expect out of your wide receivers in this matchup, and what should us as App fans look out for?
Yeah, that'll be definitely one of the best matchups to watch, especially with the inexperienced quarterback for ECU throwing against that secondary. But the receiving corps for ECU is really deep and really talented. They have a number of guys that are fast, and they got possession receivers. They really have it all. I'll start with somebody they brought in the other day who's actually a junior college transfer. He used to play at Arkansas. His name's Lance Ray, kind of similar to the guy that App State's bringing in. He's got speed, he's got size, and I think he's like 6'2", runs a 4.35 40. He returned kicks at Northwest Mississippi Junior College after getting kicked off the Arkansas team in 2010. He came in, and he's really been impressive the first couple of practices, just flashing that speed and ability. So he's going to be a contributor. Andrew Bodenheimer is a senior receiver. He's more of a possession guy. He's a former walk-on that really has just worked his way up the depth chart. He'll be a starter. on opening day as he has been for the past couple of years. Another outside receiver position, Reese Wiggins, is one of the fastest players on the team. He timed at the second fastest 40 time this off season, and he really broke out at the end of last year. He's 5'11", 188. He's a junior. He's got tremendous speed, and if he gets behind the secondary, it's going to be tough to catch him. An inside receiver is where ECU has a couple of players that are really good. And Justin Hardy, who was the team's leading receiver last year as a freshman, he was something else. He makes all types of catches. Doesn't have great speed, but possession-wise, I mean, anything thrown his way, he'll reel in. He makes some really acrobatic catches. And then another guy inside, Justin Jones, is 6'8", 260 pounds. He's a tight end / wide receiver and just a matchup nightmare. The problem with him is he's been injury prone the past couple of years, but when he was on the field last year, he only got to play in the final 2 games, really, and he caught 4 touchdowns, and he only caught 5 passes, I think. So in the red zone, when you got a guy who's 6'8", 260, I mean, you can't really match up with him if you're a linebacker or a defensive back. I mean, that's just too much size. But one of the concerns at inside receiver is that Danny West, who was a freshman starter last year, is expected to miss the opening game for off-the-field reasons, so that could hurt the depth there.
Which receiver do you think is going to be the biggest challenge, other than that 6'8" guy, for our secondary to match up against?
That's a good question. I'll probably say Justin Hardy, just because of what he did last year as a freshman. He was really impressive to everybody. He was a guy who didn't even get a scholarship offer out of high school by any Division I program because he played quarterback at his high school, so nobody got to see him as a receiver, but he came in as a preferred walk-on to ECU and just, after a redshirt year, just really dominated the competition. From the opening game last year against South Carolina, where he had a couple touchdowns, and it was really impressive. He runs really good routes, really crisp routes on the inside, so usually he's matched up with a linebacker or a safety. Against App, I know they like to bring in their nickel corner, so that'll be a good matchup if they have him on a nickel corner. So definitely number 2, Justin Hardy, is a good guy to watch.
All right, and I'm sticking with the offense, but kind of going to the other aspect of it. I know that last season, very similar, unfortunately, to App. Offensively, East Carolina, while they were able to put up pretty consistent numbers through the air, only were able to get, I think, maybe 109, 110 yards a game on the ground. So that's kind of a point of emphasis for both teams, is kind of increasing that production in the running game. So who do you guys expect to get most of the carries this year, and how are you feeling about the offensive line from a run blocking standpoint?
Yeah, the offensive line, I'll start with them. The problem was last year, ECU did not start the same offensive line 2 weeks in a row at any point in the entire season. They were just ravaged up front with injuries, and the starting 5 is really strong, really strong. Now, the depth behind them is a concern. They have a lot of underclassmen. But the starting 5, they have 4 returning starters, and then they actually had a sophomore center who's named Taylor Hudson. He actually has had such a great offseason, he's surpassed last year's starter, who's a rising senior, and Josh Clark. So that the center position is one to watch, I would say, with him probably making his first start against App next Saturday. But if you look at the offensive line, I think it's really experienced, and right now they're completely healthy, which isn't a good thing for App, but is a great thing for ECU. And then running back-wise, there's really 5 to 6 guys right now competing for spots. And this was another position that was just hit with injuries. Last year, the entire team was just ravaged with injuries, but to give you a perspective on how much depth there is at running back right now, last year's main starter and leading rusher, Torrance Hunt, he's right now probably 4th or 5th in line at running back to get carries. Reggie Bullock is a JUCO transfer, or he was last year. He was off to a good start and then had a thigh bruise that actually almost caused him to get his leg amputated. And he had to miss, the final 5-6 games of the season. But he's now back healthy, expecting to get a lot of carries. And then Michael Dobson is a junior who's really turned around his career after a disappointing first couple of years. He's always had the talent. He was highly recruited, problem with him is his attitude wasn't always the best, but now the coaching staff has raved on